Morning, everyone. Today is February 14th, 2021. Happy Valentine's Day. We are going to just be taking a look at Bitcoin, and then if I have a little bit of extra time, I will be popping in on a couple of the altcoins from yesterday. But Bitcoin on the daily, here's the things to pay attention to. We're on a 9. We're on a 9 in a consolidation, though. We have decreasing volume. We have RSI divergence. And the MACD is still trending up. So I have two negative indicators, but I have one really nice positive one. And what I'm paying attention to on the daily, I'm going to remove the Fibonacci. I am paying attention to this right here. This trend line is what I'm paying attention to. And if we get back to this trend line, which I am starting to think is unlikely, but I am expecting to see this trend line become the new standard. And we can adjust that up just a hair. So I'm expecting this trend line then to become the brand new ascending trend line that we are going to be holding for the future. Now, looking at Bitcoin, this 9 is still a bullish 9. It hasn't closed yet. We still have 7.5 hours. So here are my thoughts. Because the weekly is on a 2, the weekly 2 is going to close. The weekly 2 is going above a 1, which is going above the previous all-time high. Those are both bullish. That's a bullish indicator for me longer term. However, this daily indicator, depending on where this 9 closes and how it closes and what kind of body we have on this candle, I may become short-term bearish. If we close this 9 below this red line right here, and we have a wick pushing down into this yellow line, then I become slightly more bearish. And I think that we're going to have a 1 to 4 candle correction. The high is coming in at the 9, which I do like to see. This will be the time to take profit if you are trading the sequential system mechanically. However, I would be concerned that we may see a pop. And I'm going to show you the 4 hour. The 4 hour is riding this here, and it looks like we're in some type of, you guessed it, a wedge pattern. I don't see a triangle, I see a wedge. And I see a wedge going up pretty nicely. And we can just, there we go. So that's the wedge I'm seeing moving to the upside. And this bearish divergence on the RSI, this twining of the MACD, and this decreasing volume are all telling me this momentum is starting to peter off. We didn't break 50K. I think we didn't even touch it. So there are people who are sellers around 50,000 and they are willing to take profits. So we'll see if buyers are going to eat through that sell wall. But looking at this right now, this is no longer a triangle. This could be considered a triangle breakout if you draw it like that. Now, I'm okay with drawing this as the triangle breakout and saying, okay, we broke out of the triangle. Our target is 6K from here, which would put us at $54,000. So let's just try and get some extensions on this run up and see if we can get 54 on one of the extensions. All right, so we got 53. The next one is 59. What's the 100%? Let's just put the 1.0 there. And there it is. So the 100% move is going to be from this run up on the Fibonacci extension is going to be 54, which is going to be the target of what this triangle would have been. Now, do I like the triangle more than I like the wedge? Potentially. These can play out either way. Because the wedge is still in effect and we haven't broken out of this, and I'm not going to be adjusting this wedge anymore. This is the very top of this wedge. This ascending trend line is the very top. I'm not going to be doing what I did with the triangle last time, where I was adjusting and adjusting and adjusting and taking a more and more conservative approach. And that's because if we break out of this, we're at all-time highs again. So we're not in a consolidation pattern right here. We're in a breakout pattern. And so I'm wanting to see if this is going to break out or break down. But if we break down $6,000 to the downside, that is $36,000, which oddly enough puts you right back here in this cluster of support and resistance. So it literally puts you right in the center of all this chaos. The moving average is at 38 right now. That would catch the price, in my opinion. If you broke down, if you broke down from here at 6,000, you'd be at 41. So actually, that's beautiful. That would be a complete back test of right here. I would love to see that. A breakdown from here off of the wedge, go down and retest 41, and then go up and let's go to 57, 67, 87, 100. Let's roll. Let's go as high as we can, as far as we can. So I would be very, very excited to see this pattern play out. I'm going to remove as much as I can off this chart. I'm going to keep this red because it is a bearish pattern. And I'm going to say, so we have our price move from here, which is a 10% price move. And we want our 10% either coming off of here somewhere, and that's close enough for me. Like this 10% move to the downside is close enough. Or Control C, Control V, Control C. Hit the wrong button. Control C, Control V. Or I want to see a break. And a break putting us at 54.7, which is the 100% move off this fib. So these are the two spots that I'm looking at. This is the pattern I'm seeing. If it was the triangle pattern, it's still a $6,000 move. It just started right here at this red line, and that's 48,000 to 54. Again, it's still the same move. So we'll see. If we start closing above this wedge line, this ascending wedge's top trend line, then I'm going to sit there and switch my position and say this is off the table. This right here goes away. We're probably going up. That's what the chart's telling me to do. The chart's already telling me to lean bullish. You notice how I haven't moved my my lines to tell me where I become a bull and where I become a bear? I don't need to. I really don't need to, because this red line for me is still intact. I'm still a bull. So I'm still a bull on the 4-hour chart. I have to be. This is a breakout. These are closing at highs. Even if the volume's not right, and even if the RSI is diverging, the price is always going to tell me what's best. Now going over to the hourly. I actually watched this happen in real time last night. I saw this entire move up, and I thought to myself, do I want to get in? And I think I made a good decision of saying not to run into this too quickly. Now we did print a 9. I'm going to consider this a 9 that flipped to a 1. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3. This would be a 4-candle correction right here. If this candle starts to correct underneath this red line, then we have a change in position. You'll notice I have a wedge drawn here. That wedge broke out to the upside. We have invalidated this wedge. So I can take care of that. The hourly, my charts actually change a little bit more, which is that I need to see that break, and I need to see that. So here's, my hourly's changed a little bit compared to my 4-hour, but not by much. The MACD is positive, but it is flattening, and the signals are starting to get closer and closer together. The RSI is bullish, but let's see if we broke this trend line. We did come back and test it. So this is something I'm a little bit curious about, is are we going to fall through this trend line? Because if we fall through this trend line, then I think we're going to accelerate all the way to the oversold position. And you can see it right here. This is what happened the last time we had something like this occur. We had our trend line, we corrected. It's actually looking very, very similar to this previous peak right here, this movement. You know, you have this peak, you have this pullback, you're probably going to have some chop. And then what happened was we broke down violently from there, and we moved, you know, $3,000 in a matter of maybe like 3 hours. 3 or 4 hours. And so looking at this, looking at the RSI here and the RSI here, it's very eerily similar to what happened back here. So pay attention to the, so I'm going to be paying attention to this on the hourly. These two areas are of key interest to me because they look like a fractal pattern of one another. Now, I'm not an expert in fractals, but I can recognize that these are very, very similar in just tone and structure. You know, the interesting part is the RSI is still in the same spot. You're just not as overbought as you were last time. You could eke up and then crash again. So I'm going to be paying very close attention to these areas on the 1 hour chart. I haven't looked at these charts since yesterday, so that is a very interesting little tidbit to notice. Now I'm just kind of seeing what else is popping up. This looks like a, these two look like patterns one another. You know, this peaky move and then followed by a crash all the way down. And these are just less violent on the downside. These are more. So that's something to pay attention to. The RSI is starting to reflect what happened back here, up top here. Now, it doesn't mean that it's going to cause the price to crash, but it's something very interesting to note. All right, we're going to take a quick look at some of the alts, just because I have a second or two. Civic. Let's see. Civic on the 4 hour. Civic has crashed under 382. I'm expecting either the 50 or the 618 on the fib to catch the price here. I think the 618 is more likely because in 1 to 2, 3 candles from now, the 50 period moving average, if I'm correct, that I think that is the 50 period. Nope, that's the 30. The 30 period moving average will be on the 618, and so that'll be adding a little bit of an area of cluster support. Civic is still correcting, so I don't have any opinions on that. You might be able to pick it up at a nice pullback. LBRY. LBRY is, ooh, look at that. One day and you crashed 10%? 10% crash, just like that off barely any volume. I am liking that the RSI is tracking with price. This is starting to get closer and closer, so what I'm seeing right now is I'm seeing a channel form on the inside of the triangle. So now we have this descending channel inside the triangle right here. And we're still in the triangle. So this is a bullish pattern inside of a bearish pattern. Usually these descending channels will continue down until they break to the upside. Or they form something like a ascending triangle, which would look something like this. You know, or something like that. It may happen like way down here. You may see something really small like this just occur right here. And then that will be a bullish signal to break to the upside outside of the channel, especially if you get down to here on the apex of this triangle. You can then break to the upside. So those are like stacked patterns inside one another. Now, which one takes precedent? The larger structure always takes precedent in terms of catching and nullifying a price move. So I always pay attention to the larger structure. The microstructure I pay attention to in the sense that as long as you're within the bounds of the macro structure, you can trade this. That's how I trade this. Is I'm looking at this now as, okay, well, if I get to the bottom of this channel, which is right here, I don't think we're going to get to the bottom of this channel after Tuesday. I don't think we will. I don't think we'll close underneath it unless we're breaking out of the triangle. And if we're breaking out of the triangle, then I'm expecting a severe downside if it's going this way. And I'm expecting a massive move to the upside on the other hand. So LBRY is looking interesting. Still inside the consolidation patterns. Cardano. Cardano has actually come down and retested this trend right here. So this is something interesting to note. As long as we're above this trend line right here, then I'm expecting a higher high to come on the Bitcoin charts. So as long as we don't break down on below this, then I'm expecting another move to the upside. However, if we do break down or we trade basically flat through this this ascending trend line, then I'm expecting us to touch this middle trend, this fanning trend line right here. I'm expecting us to come back and test this one. And let me adjust it just as, there we go. So I'm expecting us to come back and test this one. And then possibly a retest of this as a potential top on this trend line right there as a resistance point. So I am liking that structure. Sorry, my phone's blowing up. The other thing to note is the RSI is still positive and we are still in this uptrend. We have not broken through this line yet. These are the areas that I've been looking at for actually if you were going to have an entry point right there is where I would have entered, but that's neither here nor there. We're going to take a fib retracement and just see, because I think this is a good spot for a top. You are holding the 236. So I like this. Let's see if you can bounce again up for another leg before crashing down. I'm not an Elliott wave expert, but this looks like a 1 followed by a 2, 1, 2, 3, and a 4, and then a 5 on the 3 pattern. And I'm sure if I go to the lower level time frames, I could see the 1 right here. And I could probably make an argument that this was the 3 and this was the 5. And this is now the A, B, C. But this all looks like, you know, 1, 2, and then maybe a 3, maybe a 4, maybe a 5. Again, I'm not an Elliott wave trader. So I can see the structure. The only thing I'm paying attention to is the fact that we're closing above this. The fact that we're closing above this previous swing and we're closing above this previous swing. So as long as we can hold, if we can hold the price and close above 1864, I am a raging bull on Cardano. I think then Cardano has just shown that this entire downtrend is over and we are really entering an entire new bull market for this asset. And that could take us all the way up to its previous high. Yeah, there's a fifth wave. There's a 5-wave structure right there. So you can think of this as 1, 2, 3, 4, or you can think of this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, followed by an A, a B, and a C. A disgusting ABC, but maybe an A, a B, and then a C. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then an A, a B, and then a C. So, or WXYZ, you know, and then it's just been flat for years. So this is the first time we've seen some serious action in this space. But Cardano, I'm still bullish on. Litecoin. Litecoin, I am, oddly enough, when I mentioned this yesterday, I said, you know, I've been really, really bearish on Litecoin, seeing how things have been playing out, and I think you need to really go into the weekly to get a good feel for what the hell's been going on. Even I think the monthly even is a better look at things. And it really has. It's been flat for 4 months. Really flat, just in terms of Bitcoin price. The RSI literally looks god frickin' awful on the monthly. I mean, that the only good news is it looks like we're breaking out of what this was like a descending triangle on the RSI on the monthly. It looks like we're finally breaking out on this candle right here. But if this candle just turns right around, we're screwed. If this candle closes all the way down here and has a giant wick to the upside, you're screwed on Litecoin. Litecoin's a dead asset relative to Bitcoin. So I'd be paying really close attention to that. I'm liking the fact that we're above this descending trend. But it needs to hold, and we've got 15 days to make a decision on this. Now, if we get a 2 going above this, breaking out of this triangle, descending wedge triangle, I will invest a serious chunk of change into Litecoin. I will invest a serious chunk of money into that because this thing is a huge wedge. This thing is, percentage-wise, is a 170% move from top to bottom. So if you're doing 170%, right there. That's a really, really nice move to the upside. Now, if I'm just going to take this and then drag this over and say, okay, we're going to go there, that's even higher. That basically puts you right back to where this 3 was on this bounce. And that's a 5x move. Yeah, that's 5x.
You need to update Bixby voice to continue.
What the hell? Okay, that's interesting. Strange. Okay. I have no idea why my phone did that. Anywho, that's pretty much everything I had to say for today. I got 4 minutes left, so let's take a really quick look at Ethereum. Get rid of this phone. Let's take a real quick look at Ethereum. Now, Ethereum on the monthly is just, whew, explosion. 31 day. See, this is the difference between trading the monthly and the 31 day. The 31 day for me says that we're on an 8, not a 2. And because we're on an 8, it changes my entire trading pattern. And the weekly is on a 1 going above the 9. Also very bullish. You know, we're above the all-time highs, which is very impressive. I am not liking this divergence on the RSI though. We're way overbought and we're diverging, so that worries me a little bit. Now, can we go higher? Yeah, we can go higher. And yeah, this like crawl to the upside, what we're doing right now is painfully obvious that this looks more and more like it's Bitcoin dragging up the price on the ETHUSD chart. But let's take a look at the BTC chart because still got a few minutes left. The BTC chart is looking not good. No, the Bitcoin chart is looking really, really bad for Ethereum right now. I am bearish Ethereum because even though we're closing really, really bad lows in these areas, and the RSI is just dropping. So let's see, where can we catch the price at? We're still being caught by the 382. I'm still looking at the 618. We do have a cluster of moving averages as well as support and resistance points all throughout this 382 to 618 range. So maybe you can catch the price there. However, I may be looking at the 618 as a potential bottom for this, followed by a move back towards the upside, and then hopefully you don't get stopped at this 236. Because if you get stopped by this 236, then here's the pattern I see playing out. So if, let's see, I think it's going to be something like, if we go down here, and then let's just say we come back here all the way to there, then I think this is the pattern we're going to play. I think this is the pattern we're going to play if we come back here and we get screwed and we can't bounce and break this. So the line in the sand is just going to be right here at 0.0462. If we cannot get above 0.0462, then I think that this asset is going to become a bearish asset. And I think you're going to see a retracement potentially all the way back down to the bottom here. So this is a potential play I see on Ethereum. It's not done with any time analysis. That's how the market structure will look. And I can draw it even more succinctly just off of the Wall Street cheat sheet, which is you make a violent swing, get rejected, you come back to here, you come back down, and then you crash the bottom. And it's sometimes it's like this, and this is a back test. Other times it's you close above here, and you fail to make a higher high, and then you break underneath there. and then that usually signals the end of a run to the upside. Now, I personally like this type of structure the most because this gives you places where you see that you're making this higher low, and then where do you start getting scared out of your mind? I start getting scared out of my mind right there at the break and the close of a weekly candle below there, or a daily candle, depending on how you're trading this asset. But this type of movement, and then it's usually downside and then flat, or you V-shape recovery. Yeah. All right, that's all I got for today, and I will talk to you tomorrow.